of the canine variety. Highlights of Sunday evening's viewing on BBC One.
In 35 minutes, we have highlights of today's action at the Winter Olympics, including the men's slalom and the four-man bobsleigh. Before that, on One, live from Studio 8 at Television Centre in London, Jasper Carrot.
Good evening. Did you see that list of Britain's 200 richest people? Did you see that? Apparently Benny Hill is worth £10 million. What am I doing wrong? Working at the BBC, I think. Still, you've got your pride here, you know. You're proud to work for the BBC, surrounded by all this wondrous technology. You can hardly hear the steam, can you? There's all sorts of pride when you think about it. There's national pride. The British are blessed with that. I mean, we take the Union Jack and make it into underpants. What about our national anthem, though? Forgettable, isn't it? I mean, even the Queen forgets it. I've never seen her sing it once. Mind you, it's better than the Bolivian national anthem. Have you heard that? I'm surprised KTEL haven't released it in a box set of 12. That's why the Bolivians never win gold medals at the Olympic Games. Hey, they don't want to stand there for hours listening to the bloody thing, do they? Hey, they're coming round the bend and they're 10 yards in the lead and they go, come on, get it right! I think pride manifests itself in cars more than anything. I have never met anyone yet who admits to being a bad driver. I come across millions every year out there, but not one will own up. For instance, when I drive along the motorway in the middle lane at 35 miles an hour, lorry drivers who flash their lights and bib their horns at me should be banned from driving. And the same to you. The drivers that amuse me most are the ones that drive Ladas and Skodas with racing stripes down the side. It's like having a sign on your gate saying, beware of the tortoise. But you see these bimbos at the lights, ain't they, wearing Skoda racing gloves and sunglasses, trying to impress the woman in the Lancia next to him, you know? Chewing his Yorkie, you know? Giving the car full throttle, you know? Hey, the light changes to green and he's off, and he might just make it through the junction before they turn to red. The woman's going, whoa. That's catching on, isn't it? Personalised car number plates are a bit pretentious, don't you think? You get your, yeah, thank you. Let me know when you're going to do that, all right? You get the name Pam and the number 35, or Joe 16, obviously refers to their IQ. These things cost a fortune, you know. I mean, and some more than others, obviously. I mean, you know, like, who's going to buy Tit 1? You know? The editor of The Sun, I suppose. And all these people that buy numbers, they're the same people who are very house-proud, you know. They have the kind of houses where even the flies have to wipe their feet, you know, wear slippers. And they're the same people who cover the loo seat in shag pile carpet. Why do they do that? I mean, what do they do? Stand on the loo seat, you know? Squat on it, you know? I mean, what is they're embarrassed about having a loo in the toilet, so they're trying to camouflage it. Like they do with the loo rolls, you know? You know the ones that they try and hide them under dolls with, like, long knitted dresses. Or they're in antique cigar boxes. There's nothing worse than hobbling round someone's house, trousers round your ankle, yelling, "Where have you hidden the handbag?" Pride prevents some people wearing glasses, even though they desperately need them, you know. They wait for years until they finally venture into the opticians, only to find they're in Dewhursts. Still not wanting to wear glasses, they settle for contact lenses. Coloured contact lenses. Bright blue or bright green, and they stare at you, and they're like something from Village of the Damned. Everyone's proud of something, I suppose. Pets. People are very proud of their pets, aren't they? Aren't they noses? "Oh, come on, Rover, come on, Rover. He understands every word I say. Come on, Rover, come on. Chase your tail, chase your tail. Come on, Rover, chase your tail, chase your tail." The dog's sitting there thinking, "Oh, not again." No, chase me, dog. Come on, chase your tail. All right, round and round and... Okay, I've got it now, all right? Do what you want me to do with it. There you go, I thought so. I knew one couple who had a dog and a parrot, and they trained the parrot to fly onto the dog's head and then get the dog to run around the room and jump all over the furniture. I mean, they were so proud of this pair. And then one day the dog just turned round and ate the parrot. They could never figure it out. Everybody else could, because the parrot kept whispering in the dog's ear, you know. "Hey, hey, Rover, hey, I'm going to crap on your head." There's only so much you can take, you know. There's always that pride that turns into snobbishness. Restaurants are prime places for this, particularly people who think they know it all, you know. "I'll have a steak tartare, well done." "Do you have any Beaujolais Nouveau, 1957? Work it out, work it out. Or you'll get the ones that have just been abroad and they've heard people ordering something exotic, you know, so they'll try it on you. "Have you got a Cuba Libre?" "No." "Oh, well, I'll have a Bacardi and Coke instead then." Restaurants themselves are pretty pretentious, you know, particularly French ones where they serve you nouvelle cuisine. Hey, have you ever had that stuff? It's all very pretty, it's a work of art even, but where's the food? "Excuse me, I ordered lamb." "Oh, it's under the watercress, monsieur." Nouvelle cuisine's a giant French con. You're so hungry at the end of the meal, there's no way you're going to refuse to eat that bloody camembert, you know, that they're trying to get rid of all the time. Is pride a sin, I wonder? You ever thought about that? And if so, we're all condemned. I mean, like, I'm proud of this show. You know, I'm proud that we go out live to the whole nation. We go out live everywhere, except in Scotland, where it goes out 2 hours later. It's shown at midnight there, so if you're watching in Scotland, we're all in bed now. Actually, the Scots are a very proud nation. That's why you have to be careful about Scottish jokes, you know. Actually, when you think of it, I mean, I could do a rabid anti-Scottish joke now, and because it goes out later, we could edit it out. There was this big Glaswegian duck. Up your kilt, Jimmy! Isn't Isn't that a terrific joke? Well, it's the best one I know. You'll be getting all your Scottish relatives phoning you tomorrow. Hey, what was that joke, Jasper? That was on about last night, eh?
Hello? This is 0853. It's quite all right.
What else has been happening this week? Not a lot, actually. Michael Jackson is moving house after the neighbours complained about the smell coming from his private zoo. Well, it must be bad. He's worn out 2 noses himself. This week, the South African government announced a major crackdown banning 17 anti-apartheid groups and stifling black opposition. Over to Johannesburg, where 2 representatives of the South African police force are waiting to talk to us. Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well, Mr. Carrot. What do you want to know about our wonderful enlightened democracy?
I wanted to ask about events in South Africa this week.
Yes, there was the Pretoria Flower Show. That was very nice. A little girl lost her pet dog. Real shame. The weather was good, and President Botha gave a transfusion to prove that you can get blood out of a stone.
What about the violence?
Yes, we do have violence in South Africa. All our orchestras have violence. Yes.
I think you're avoiding the question. Is this interview being censored?
There is no censorship in South Africa. And furthermore, I can tell you that... Salute nonsense.
What about apartheid? What does your colleague think?
He finds it a tricky subject.
What, apartheid?
No, thinking.
Does he think that world opinion could spell the end of apartheid?
He couldn't spell the beginning of apartheid. Look, let me tell you this, Mr. Carrot. If interfering busybodies like you keep poking your nose into our affairs, the future looks black. Oh, no, Custody. No. Sorry about that. Sorry about customer government. Sanctions will only lead to a black economy. Oh, no, really. Yes.
Excuse me, are you saying that under sanctions you'd resort to the black market?
Don't say that. No, you mustn't say that. It's the training, you see.
But what about the riots?
Well, that's nonsense. We don't allow black people any rights.
I notice you steer clear of religious leaders.
Yes, that's our motto.
Don't mess with my tutu.
But don't you agree with 1 man, 1 vote?
Of course we do. And next year we're going to give 1 black man 1 vote. We just haven't decided which one yet.
Finally, what did you think of Richard Attenborough's film Cry Freedom?
The film is complete nonsense. It's a total lie.
Really?
Yes. Who ever heard of freedom in South Africa?
It cannot be easily explained. It cannot be seen or heard. It cannot be touched. And yet this man is about to sell it for £27 billion. He will sell off the power stations and the national grid at the speed of light. It's going to be the most prolific form of profit known to man. A most efficient and versatile privatization. A truly Tory way of keeping down taxes and making a lot of rich people a lot richer. It is the privatization of electricity. Money for life. Well, for the life of this country.
A common market. Generally speaking, the common market is the most boring subject in the world. But last week, that wasn't the case. Margaret Thatcher returned from Brussels last week claiming her deal with the common market was not a sellout. Come on. It's like an American evangelist who says he doesn't know the meaning of the word erection. However, she must have put up one hell of a fight because, according to The Independent, during the debate, the French minister, Jacques Chirac, was so upset he shouted a French obscenity at Margaret Thatcher. Couillard. Maggie thought he shouted couille and blew him a kiss. Couillard is French for balls. True, but as Maggie said afterwards, there aren't a lot of couillards in her cabinet. The common market, as far as I can see, is a system whereby we spend £2.5 billion a year to keep 10.5 million tonnes of surplus food in tip-top condition so that we can sell it to the Russians at 1935 prices. These food mountains are getting beyond a joke. The butter mountain is huge. I mean, so much so that in a hot summer it turns into a butter lake. In the winter, does the wine lake freeze? No chance. It's topped up with wine from Austria. Why don't they give that wine to Kurt Waldheim? Eh? Put him out of his misery once and for all. Every year the market destroys 2.5 million tonnes of fruit and vegetables. To try and lower the stockpiles, they destroy it by covering it with low-grade oil to make it inedible. I reckon they sell it to Italian restaurants as ratatouille. You've eaten in Italian restaurants, good. The efforts the market goes to try and get rid of the mountains is comical, to say the least. A while ago, they cut the milk quotas of all European farmers in an attempt to reduce the dried milk surplus. Fair enough. And this actually succeeded, lo and behold. However, as the farmers didn't need so many cows, they slaughtered them and doubled the beef mountain. That's good, isn't it? Why not give all the surplus meat, butter and cereals to the people in the third world, you ask? Stupid question. It is, isn't it? I mean, the reason is that these massive amounts of food aren't owned by the EEC, but by individual nations. And the real argument is who's going to pay for the delivery and shipment of these surpluses. Well, that's the reason given by the Eurocrats. Should be Europrats. Not all the nations of Europe are in the common market, of course. Sweden refuses to join, mainly because their suicide rate is bad enough as it is. Besides which, they know full well that if they joined, the first regulation we'd pass is one to make all Vogols turn off their bloody lights. The real danger of the common market is that because of all the uniformity, we're all becoming faceless and obscure. I mean, imagine it, 320 million Robert McLennans. Does anyone here know who their Euro MP is? Does anybody know who the... No. You do. Oh. Well, thanks a lot. You've just ruined the next three gags now. The next three gags rely upon you all not knowing who your Euro MP is. But old smart ass here knows who is... Thank you very much, thank you. Training for mastermind, are you? You know? I bet you're one of those blokes that knows all that useless information, like, you know, like the average rainfall in Lincoln and stuff like that. Do you collect train numbers? They'll love you in the common market. I bet you'll love things like Euro money and Euro passports, won't you? We're back on the script now, Adrian. You got a bit panicked there, didn't you? What's... Lincoln, that's all right. All the cameramen are going, what is he doing? What's he... We're assuming they're going, what the hell is he doing? What the... Go to the test card, quick, we don't know what's going on. Don't run off, don't you come back in. Yes, and Euro passports. See, I'm back in now. Those passports, that space where your photo should all be blank, because we won't be able to tell one from each other, you know, so I'll just tattoo a number on your forehead. Where will it all end? Well, from what I hear, eventually there will be, can you believe, a Euro car. God forbid. And guess what that'll be like? I mean, like, Peugeot will want to do the advert, won't they? You know? At least that'll get rid of the sugar mountain. The Italians will provide the hoods. The Germans will supply the tanks. The Ford workers will put the boot in. Excuse me. Thank you. If this was commercial television, around about now, it would be time for the commercial break. All those products jostling for customers in ever more intense competition. Instead of that, we have Steve and Hugh.
Cleanser. For the wash that's really white.
Sod it. The whitest wash, the one that's really all white, right?
New cleanser with added zap. Leaves your clothes soft in the whitest wash ever, the one you have to want.
All new Sod It 2, the ultimate super whitest wash in the world, right?
Now, new formula Cleanso 3 with added pow. For the wash that's as white as driven snow before people have trodden in it. The wash you're under legal obligation to want leaves your clothes so soft you don't know whether you've got them on or not.
Yes, it's new, all new. It's Sod It 4 with added trichloroinsulate 7 for the antibacterial wash that's so white it glows in the dark. A whiteness with just a hint of lilac and a free powder dispenser.
Now, at last, it's here. New cleanser with some of cleanser. With added kapow, whammo and socko for the whiteness of an exploding supernova, a chemical fungicidal nuclear whiteness that folds your clothes up for you, floats them out of the dryer, irons them and puts them in the wardrobe for you, and then makes you a cup of tea. The only powder that will search through your wash and automatically destroy the horrid jumpers your auntie gives you for Christmas. And free with every packet. A washing machine.
Yes, 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 yes. Affirmative. Please rush me. Super upgraded, formulaically augmented Sod It 16 with added calcium at not less than 1% of recommended daily intake. A powder where the sugar turns to alcohol to give you a sociological neo-imperialist wash that cleans right under the rim and kills 99% of all known socks. A wash that leaves your clothes white, no matter what colour they were to start with, in an end-of-the-universe whiteness so bright it would have forced Einstein to completely rethink his entire theory of relativity plus a free house.
2 houses.
3 houses.
A housing estate.
A big housing estate.
A city.
A town.
Thank you, Steve and Hugh. Actually, as a viewer pointed out, I always introduce them as Steve and Hugh, but never tell you which one is which. Well, Hugh is the tall one, and Steve is the one with the schoolboy looks. That's why he's so happy tonight. It's half term next week. People say school days are the happiest days of your life. How do you know? You haven't lived your life yet. When you talk about school days, it seems everybody went through the same sort of traumas, you know. There was always the teacher that was like everyone was scared of, you know. I mean, oh, is he? Oh, is that one? You'll like this one. The one that would whip the cane out and at every opportunity beat you to a pulp. The only way he could recognise you was like, you know, was to get the pupil to bend over first. You know? Then he would recognise him. You know, ah, Tompkins. Wipe the smile off your face. Do you remember school trips? 200 kids on 4 coaches to go and look around a museum of classical art. Wasn't that exciting? The most classical part of the day was examining what everyone else had got in their sandwiches. Fish paste, mainly. What did they make fish paste out of? I mean, like, ground up elastoplast, I reckon. It was always great fun mixing the sandwiches up, you know. My favourite was the porky surprise. Ham, jam and spam wrapped round a wagon wheel. When kids get bored, the trouble begins. You know, they start opening the visors on the suits of armour and stuffing fish paste down, swarming all over the remains of the pterodactyl and nicking the bones for the dog back home. It amazes me. I mean, our museums are still standing. I mean, I reckon the Venus de Milo had both arms before they allowed school kids near it. Then you get sports day at school, where they have you hopping along in a sack. That's really useful preparation for the Olympics, that is, isn't it? The East Germans have got their 6-year-olds learning the decathlon, and we've got ours training to be onions. Make you proud to be British. Either that, or we tie their legs to one another and get them hobbling along in unison, trying to overtake the kid in front who's trying to balance a boiled egg. I used to enjoy sports, except for when it was a freezing cold day, and then I'd try and get out of it, you know. The excuses you use at school to get out of things. Teachers always know when you've written a note yourself. Dear Mr. Taylor, Jasper cannot do cross-country today because he's had a vasectomy. Painful, is it, Carrot? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I can hardly breathe. I always remember one kid using the same excuse as his sister. Why can't you go swimming, Wainwright? Time of the month, sir? The school I went to was a typical grammar school, except I ended up in a class with all the other screwballs. Everyone had nicknames. There was Pew the Swat. We killed flies with him. There was a kid called himself Manny. He wasn't Jewish, he just wanted to be because they had much better food than us in the school canteen. He almost made it too. He passed the written test but failed the physical. Oh, very good. Didn't learn as much as I should have at school. For instance, there was French. All I ever learned in French lessons was je ne sais pas, which means I don't know. Je ne sais pas. Our teacher was a Frenchman and we used to call him Donkey. That's right, because he kept going, oh, oh, oh. Now, in those days, I had a Brummie accent. Thank you. Well, all the class had Brummie accents, so communications between Donkey and the pupils was extremely limited. Oh, oh. Like a quelle heure est-il, Carrot? Je ne sais pas, sir. Je ne sais pas? You don't know what, sir? Comment? Come on where, sir? However, my French was nowhere near as bad as my woodwork. I was so bad and lethal, they banned me from using chisels. I mean, in my hands, they became chainsaws. You know? I spent 4 years making a stool. I used so much wood, you could have built the entire cast of Neighbours. I mean, this stool, this rectangular stool, had 5 legs. One on each corner. It was held together by great gobs of glue and masonry nails, and the woodwork teacher pronounced it a miracle of linear construction and used it as a barbecue grill. And in metalwork I was infinitely more talented and made, amongst other things, a butter dish that was slightly bigger than a deep freeze. I made a key ring that needed the metalwork teacher and 4 sixth formers to carry it out to the rubbish skip. I'll never forget when I first started at this particular school. This is a true story. I'd only been there 10 days when the whole school was ordered to the assembly hall at 12 o'clock in the morning. And we all stood there waiting, wondering what the hell was going on. Headmaster arrived, stomped onto the stage, looked at us all and said, "OK, which one of you lot has stolen the dynamite?" Come on, who is it? And what had happened was that next door they were blowing up trees to clear the site to build houses on. And one of the kids had nicked some dynamite. Come on, who's got it? And then suddenly this third form, he reached into his pocket and he went, "It's me, sir. I've got it." And everybody went, "What?" Suddenly he had this big space round him, and he walked towards the stage going like, "I've got it," and the headmaster's going, "Stand still, don't move! Don't come any bloody closer!" He's going, "It's all right, sir, it's all right. The detonators are in my pocket."
This is Brian Cartwright. This man never quite got it right. Brian once worked for the company that made Dealy Boppers. Brian had to wait 6 months to be the proud owner of a Sinclair C5. Brian also insisted that the 8-track cartridge was the sound system of the future. Brian sold his flat in London's Dockland 2 years ago for £3,000. The man who purchased it sold it today to an Arabian sheikh for £1.5 million. Brian shrewdly invested £2,000 of his money in a 1-acre organic vegetable garden situated next door to Sellafield nuclear power station. The remaining £1,000 he invested equally shrewdly in BP shares. This is the house where Brian lives, along with all the other 400 victims of the timeshare scandal. Brian's home appliances include a video disc machine, a Betamax video recorder, and every single product ever made by Ronco. Brian still has a subscription to Now magazine and has yet to solve the mystery of cancelling his order for the Reader's Digest. Brian, fed up with supporting Fulham and the SDP, decides that to leave his mark upon the world, he needed a new face and a new identity.
Gentlemen, we have the science. We have the technology. We can rebuild him.
So Brian the loser finally became a winner. He comes last and everybody knows who he is. Isn't it wonderful? We'll leave you this week with a couple of gems from the Thames Valley Police newspaper. In a column called The Mole, we are informed that E-Division received 3 new Astra diesels recently. The lads, eager to try them out, promptly filled them up with petrol. And during that cheeky helicopter escape from Gartree prison in December, the neighbouring police force, hearing that the dastardly villains were heading towards their patch, immediately set up roadblocks. Evening all. Good night.
One presents All the Best of Dave Allen. A chance to see again some favourite sketches from his award-winning series.
Sergeant, hold. Sergeant, stand at east, sir? Exactly.
I'm in the ship.
And it's the British boy in the lead, but only just. Oh, he's tiring, yes. And this could be trouble. The Finn is close behind.
All the Best of Dave Allen on Thursday at 9:30.
And we've more comedy coming up in half an hour with the outrageous Bette Midler in a spectacular concert when the divine Miss M brings a new refinement to her repertoire of songs. Now on BBC One, Steve Riders here with Olympic Report.